I'm Allendale's chief meteorologist Ryan Martin with a look at your midday weather update. Cold air continuing to make headlines across the country. Finally, we're starting to see high pressure where the coldest part of this air mass is move east a little bit. It's finally moved out of Montana and is now sitting across western to central parts of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Kansas. This high is going to continue to work its way eastward. There's a little surface trough ahead of it. Honestly, that surface trough isn't going to do much. But where we really need to watch here along this high-pressure dome for the next couple of days is going to be the bottom edge and then the back side. Already, up the back side, we're seeing some pretty good howling winds through parts of Colorado, New Mexico. But what we're also seeing is weak low pressure, basically just along I-25 south of Denver, and then a whole host of little lows trying to come together and form one better low near the Arizona-New Mexico border confluence. What I'm looking at here is that low kind of drifting eastward, not really having a lot of moisture with it, but all of a sudden being able to pick up on some flow on the backside of the high. Keep in mind, this is a very cold air mass, so return flow is southerly. It's going to be a fairly decent difference than what has been in over parts of the west. That will lead to some expansion, and we'll probably see some moisture getting picked up in there at some point. So, as we go through the end of the week and weekend, particularly tomorrow night through Saturday and Sunday, I'm actually going to be looking for a little disturbance to come out of the central and southern plains and then move eastward. Right now, models are actually putting the better snow totals out of this back to the west over parts of Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri. But at this point, we can't rule out snow showers over a large part of the Corn Belt as we go through the day on Sunday. We're talking accumulating snows over most of the Corn Belt, probably a coating to an inch or two, not much more than that. Some models are saying back in the central plains, Kansas, I-70 area up toward I-80 in Nebraska, maybe we put together a little bit more than that. I guess I'm not ready to go that far yet. I don't like these systems that are just coming together without a serious moisture source. But if a front is able to tap into any moisture off the western Gulf, then yeah, maybe we can see that. So we'll watch that very, very closely. The thing is that this system then lifts east and goes on out. It's actually going to invite a secondary Arctic high to come down in. I'm still thinking we could see temperatures even colder to the start of next week than what we've been dealing with this week. The only difference is the focal point of that high is going to be farther east. So areas out in the western plains probably will warm faster. And even in the Corn Belt, we're only looking at the cold air holding through Thursday, maybe into early Friday of next week before it moderates. Then we get into a big argument/discussion over what happens from there. I'll be honest, the American model really tries to warm us up, and I think it's too much too fast. I think it's way overdone. I think it's overzealous. By the same token, the European warms us some, but it's got absolutely no moisture coming with that warm-up. So who's right? Honestly, at this point, I think probably neither of them are right. It's probably a combination of the two. I think we will see a fairly significant front trying to come in somewhere in that period ahead of or near Thanksgiving that week. It's going to have some moisture with it. The air in front of it's not going to be as warm. The air behind it is going to be chilly, but I think it's going to lead to some scattered precipitation from the central plains across the Corn Belt. Right now amounts a half, let's say quarter to 3/4 of an inch, and some of it will be rain followed by snow. If you continue to hear people talk about a significant event as we go toward Thanksgiving, they're obviously going to be looking mostly at the GFS model. And right now, I think the GFS, the American model, is most likely to flip-flop on this and eventually try and go more toward a sagging, zonal cold air flow pattern. Now, that's what we like. And that's what we think is going to be the most likely given the way this pattern has come in. And we'll just kind of go from there. Going toward the turn of the month, we're also seeing a little bit of precipitation there, December 1st into December 2nd, so we'll keep an eye on that. Let's shift gears to South America. That's where actually most of the concern or the eyes are right now with regard to beans. We have some fairly decent warm air in the central north areas of Brazil that are dry today. We're talking mostly Bahia and even a little bit west toward Goiás. But generally speaking, we're seeing temperatures in the upper 80s to near 90. So we're normal to above normal there a little bit. Farther south in the dry air over south and southeastern parts of Brazil, we're seeing some warmer temperatures as well, pushing 90 in Rio Grande do Sul. But the dryness that's going to be in over southeast Brazil goes away toward the middle and end of next week. Argentina's dry here short term, but that goes away toward the end of next week as well. It does look like the intermediate and extended forecast period has plenty of rain. The scattered action in Mato Grosso, Goiás, Bahia, the central north area here the next couple of days will actually turn into a much bigger, much more dramatic event as we go from early to the middle part of next week right on through the turn of the month. So there's good moisture coming there. The dry periods right now really seem to me to be allowing good planting progress to be undertaken, and it really is going to help if we get moisture coming in or soon after, or at least so soon after we get such a big spike in planting. We'll have to watch that very closely. Right now, though, if there's any place to have a little concern or I'm keeping an eye on more than others, it's probably Argentina. I'm just not impressed with any fronts there until we get into the later stages of next week. That's what we've got in your forecast here at midday. Have a great rest of your day. If you've got any questions on the weather, give us a call at Allendale. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin.